So in the brand new update, Tycoon just added the KA-50 Black Shark, and the big question that you're probably going to be asking yourself, is it worth to spend so much money on the spin, or to just possibly get lucky to get this vehicle? Well, today we're going to be finding that out, and I will be going once again extremely critical on this video today, since it costs you over 11 parts. Just like I did with the B1 Lancer, and the results of the video were not the best for it, but it's still a pretty decent vehicle all around, where this vehicle here is costing you more parts than the Mi-24 Super Hind. It is going to be having a health of 800, and when you max it out, its health is going to be 1040, its base speed is going to be 210, and its maximum speed is going to be 273. But anyway, before we start this damage test, make sure to join my Discord server. I'm actually giving away the KA-50 Black Sharks as we speak. So firstly, actually taking a look at the performance of this thing's main cannon, and I have to say this is extraordinarily good in terms of damage, because it will be able to both shred helicopters and planes extremely easily due to its high damage output and great fire rate. However, the one issue of this gun is because it cannot really turn that well to either side. For this reason, I believe they gave it really high damage. Now, if we take a look at its damage against the Striker Shroud, this thing will actually be able to kill it in one burst, which is honestly extremely good. Now, if we take a look at the damage that it does against the TO-55, which of course has the same health as the Abrams X, which is why I'm using it in this test, it will be able to get it down pretty low to, I believe, around 20% on average, which is extremely good once again. Now, if we move on to its damage against the Zumwalt, it will be able to roughly take away at least 30% from it, which is once again really good. Like, this thing almost feels like it has a plane cannon in a way, but just a slightly worse version of it, which is honestly something I really like seeing on a helicopter, which is what kind of makes this thing extremely unique. Now, if we take a look at its damage of the anti-ground missiles, this is where the performance falls off slightly, because it will not actually be able to kill the Striker Shard with all of its 12 missiles. However, keep in mind that this thing has exactly the same damage per missile as the longbow, but the only issue of it is that it only has 12 of them, while the longbow has 16. And right here you guys can also see, unfortunately, it will not also be able to kill the TO-55 with all of its 12 missiles. Once again, the cannon is also extremely strong, so if you use the cannon well with the missiles, then that's kind of what's gonna make up for the damage which you lost out on the missiles themselves. Now, its air-to-air missiles are also going to be pretty decent. It's not going to be anything special. I'd say it's roughly around the average damage output which a helicopter should be doing. This thing with all of its 4 missiles will be able to get a F-35B to some pretty low health, around 40% on average, or against the Mi-24 Super Hind, you're going to leave it around 30 or so after 4 missiles, which is once again pretty decent, nothing too special, but it's definitely something that you want to have as your weapon, but overall, you're primarily going to be using the cannon in air-to-air combat most of the time anyway. But yeah, last thing which we need to definitely talk about is going to be the bombs, because those things are probably the most interesting out of all of them, because its direct damage is going to be pretty okay. It's not going to be anything like too special. It will be able to get the Striker Shroud to around 60% after one bump, and similar results can also be seen against the TO-55. But then again, the bombs ain't really used in this game for killing vehicles and direct hitting them, because as you guys can currently see, this thing actually has bombs which are easily able to pierce through walls, which is going to be extremely handful for this vehicle, because it's basically like an Mi-24 Super Hind in a sense, but just a little bit weaker. Like right here it can pierce the buildings. However, most of all, this thing is also able to pierce bunkers, so we have once again another bunker buster in this game. That is a few bunker busters which they added, but hey, I'm not gonna complain about it too much since it only does have 2 bombs. But overall, I'd say this is a pretty good vehicle. It's definitely not gonna be worth 11 parts as a whole. I'd more spend like 10 on it. I think the Mi-24 Super Hind is still preferably a slightly better option in terms of overall versatility and the damage that it will be able to provide in a shorter time. However, either way, I still do think that this is a great vehicle, and I definitely recommend you guys to probably spend a little bit of money on it, but if you don't feel like doing that, then really just wait. I think you're gonna get this vehicle at some point, but the trading on it is kind of expensive right now, so I do not recommend you guys to trade within the first few days, since everybody just hypes up the price way too much.